This week's announcement by Toyota that it will be resuming production earlier than expected has been welcomed by the local auto components industry. But even with that happy reprieve, one local car parts supplier is looking offshore to counteract what it sees as an increasingly hostile manufacturing environment in Australia.
The black hole that we're heading into isn't quite so deep. We'll still incur substantial losses, but then once that new model gets launched later in the year and we'll start producing some extra components, we're reasonably confident of recovering that reasonably quickly.
It's been a tough month for Mark Dwyer, who'd been gearing down work at his car parts factory on the news his major customer Toyota was halving production.
Toyota's now something like 85% of our sales, and to drop from nearly 500 vehicles a day to nearly 200 has a huge effect. We've currently agreed with our people to go to a 4-day week. We just tackle every little cost until we get it down to a point where we can survive.
The decision not to issue redundancies has been vindicated by Toyota's surprise announcement that it will be returning to full production earlier than expected.
We need all these people that we've got. They're all a great crew of people. They're all highly skilled in what they do for our business, and we're going to need them around to help train and develop the employees of the future.
But just surviving in the auto components industry in Australia is incredibly hard.
I think we have to be realistic. Australia is not a competitive place to produce manufactured goods. Our infrastructure costs, as compared to somewhere like Thailand, is double. Our raw material, our steel, is at least 65% more than all our trading partners. So we've got this huge problem of cost competitiveness.
Mark Dwyer believes Australian governments have rushed to embrace the free market to the detriment of local manufacturers.
Thailand has an active policy to encourage automotive production. You get huge benefits in tax-free thresholds and subsidies to get started in your business. If you want to import a part into there, though, it'll cost you, there's a 40% minimum duty on it, but to produce it there, you'll get all the assistance in the world. They're adding the value within their own country and then exporting that product all around the world. We don't understand the basics of economics here.
The cost of manufacturing in Australia is making it so difficult to grow the business that Ozpress is now looking to expand its facilities overseas.
We are studying countermeasures to try and find out ways we can get around the steel supply cost issue, which makes us uncompetitive. Do we have to shift some of our manufacturing to the more competitive sites such as China, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia in the future? Do we look at sourcing these steels from the new age mills in China and so on?
This week, the Federal Chamber of Automotive Industries said a carbon tax will add $400 to the cost of making a car here, and Mark Dwyer argues that will make his business even less competitive.
Any of the manufacturing industries that use a lot of power, and if they're not provided with offsets, we'll have to question whether or not Australia's the correct place to be doing business. And northern neighbours, of course, won't be so foolhardy.
From this businessman's point of view, expanding his production offshore may be the only way to secure his beloved factory in regional Victoria.
We need to have a more dynamic, broader-based business that's probably operating in Thailand and or China, and growing in those markets for the long-term viability of our own business, and, as I say, to provide the cost structures and the efficiencies that our automotive customers demand.